There's a truth most men spend their entire lives running from, not because it's hidden, but because it's terrifying. It's this: you're not broke because the world is unfair. You're broke because you have not yet become the man wealth responds to. And wealth, true, generational, world-shaking wealth, is not chasing anyone. It waits. It waits for the man who has become worthy of it. You see, we've been conditioned to think riches are earned in dollars, accumulated by chance, inherited by bloodline, or won in some twisted lottery of fate. That's a lie, a soothing, easy, poisonous lie, because wealth is never the fruit. It's the consequence. It's the echo of invisible laws obeyed by a very visible few. Every empire began as an invisible idea in the mind of a man obsessed. Every fortune was born in the furnace of discipline. And every generational dynasty you see today was once just a daily habit practiced in silence. Understand this: you are only 3 habits away from unlimited wealth. Not luck, not contacts, not talent. 3 habits built, hardened, obeyed. But before those habits can live in your hands, they must first live in your spirit. Because habits are not just actions. They are evidence of identity. They are the fingerprints of a man who has declared war on mediocrity. So let me ask you, have you declared that war yet? Or are you still waiting for permission? Do you think Carnegie waited? Do you think Ford asked anyone if it was okay to believe in the impossible? When Walt Disney stood bankrupt, mocked, ridiculed, do you think he paused to see if the world approved? No, he moved, he acted. He built habits that carved his future from stone, and now it's your turn. But let me warn you, these habits are not glamorous. They are not viral hacks. They are not found in YouTube shorts or behind some Instagram quote. These habits are ancient, they are brutal. And they are divine, because wealth isn't just about money. Wealth is the manifestation of alignment. Alignment between what you think, what you say, and what you do. Most men are poor because they violate this alignment daily. They think like kings, speak like beggars, and act like slaves. But the man who becomes rich, he moves differently. He walks as if he knows the world owes him nothing, but is willing to give him everything if he pays the price in discipline. So the first habit, the keystone of all transformation, is this: you must command your morning before the world commands you, not once, not when you feel like it, every single day. The second your eyes open, your war begins. And if your morning is passive, your life will be reactive. You'll be a slave to the moods of others, to the pings of your phone, to the chaos of circumstance. But when you own your morning, you own your mind. And when you own your mind, nothing outside of you can dictate your worth. Edison understood this. He rose before dawn, not to scroll, but to think, to imagine, to solve problems when the world was still asleep. His morning routine wasn't a productivity hack. It was his altar, his sacred space where the universe whispered secrets reserved only for those who show up in the silence. You say you want wealth. Show me your morning, because that's where the war is won. But owning your morning is not just about discipline. It's about declaring to the universe that you are no longer available for smallness. That every action you take from the moment you wake is a vote for the man you are becoming. You cannot become wealthy accidentally. And you cannot stay poor without your permission. That's the truth most avoid, because it means you are responsible, not your government, not your boss, not your parents, you. And that truth, it's your power. Because once you accept it, you realize you don't need permission. You need alignment. And alignment begins the moment you choose to rise before the world rises on you. That's habit 1. Now listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you separates the daydreamers from the dynasty builders. The second habit is this: guard your thoughts like royalty guards its throne. Most men are broke not because they lack intelligence, but because they've surrendered their minds to mental graffiti. They allow every opinion, every fear, every doubt, every criticism, every failure, every whisper of mediocrity to plant itself in their subconscious like weeds in a garden that was once fertile. Let me tell you something that should make your spine shiver. Every thought you accept becomes a blueprint, not just for your emotions, for your life, for your wealth, for your destiny. Henry Ford once said, "Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right." That wasn't philosophy. That was a warning. The richest men in history didn't just think positively. They thought strategically. They chose their thoughts like a general chooses weapons for war. Andrew Carnegie, do you know what made him a titan? Not steel, not industry. Mental control. He once confessed that every dollar he earned was the result of his ability to focus on the exact outcome he wanted, with zero tolerance for distraction. He didn't allow poverty to live in his mind, even when it surrounded him. He didn't allow fear to speak, even when it screamed. Because he knew if you think like the poor, you will remain poor, no matter how much money you make. And that's the modern plague, isn't it? People think like slaves and expect the rewards of kings. They absorb 6 hours of social media poison, then wonder why they can't focus on building their empire. They gossip, compare, complain, consume, and then ask the universe why success hasn't arrived. But the man who wins, the man wealth bows to, is the one who trains his mind to obsess over vision, not noise. And here's the paradox: you don't become a millionaire by chasing millions. You become a millionaire by mastering your mind, because wealth is attracted to order, to clarity, to obsession, not scattered energy, not maybe someday attitudes, not wishing. If your thoughts are chaotic, your life will reflect that chaos. But if your thoughts are intentional, focused, and fed with the fire of belief, your world must eventually conform. It's not magic, it's law. Just like gravity doesn't care whether you understand it, your subconscious doesn't care if you mean well. It only responds to repetition and clarity. So what are you feeding it every day? What thoughts are you rehearsing in the theater of your mind? Because repetition is the mother of mastery and the father of identity. You cannot think powerfully one day and weakly the next. You must discipline your inner voice like a soldier, relentlessly. This is not a game. This is your inheritance. You were born to create wealth, born to command influence, born to master life, not survive it. But the man who survives, he's thinking about bills. The man who rises, he's thinking about legacy. What you think about most is what you are becoming. So guard your mind, starve the noise. Feed it only what you want your life to reflect: books, ideas, purpose, solutions, vision. Surround yourself with voices that echo your destiny, not your doubt. And if there are none around you, be that voice yourself, even if it sounds ridiculous at first, even if your own mind resists. Because the truth is, your subconscious has been trained by mediocrity for years. It won't surrender overnight. But if you show up, if you repeat greatness with conviction, if you flood your thoughts with vision long enough, your subconscious will kneel. And once it kneels, your habits will follow. And once your habits follow, wealth will come, not as a visitor, but as a loyal servant. That is habit 2. Now lean in, because this third habit, it's the one that breaks most men. They can wake up early. They can even fill their minds with the right thoughts. But this is where the weak disappear and the wealthy rise. The third habit is relentless, unapologetic, daily execution. Not dreaming, not planning, not preparing. Executing, with urgency, with aggression, with obsession. You say you want freedom, but how many days have you wasted in research? How many hours have you lost to procrastination dressed up as productivity? How many times have you said, "I'm almost ready"? Almost ready? No empire was built on almost. No fortune was forged in comfort. You do not become wealthy by waiting. You become wealthy by doing the thing, especially when it's hard, when it's boring, when it's scary, when no one is clapping, when the results are invisible. Because that's what execution really is. It's a spiritual declaration that you trust the unseen more than the seen. Every action you take in faith, in silence, in solitude, that's a vote for the future version of you that already exists. Do you understand that? The wealthy version of you is not a fantasy. He's already alive, but he's trapped, waiting behind a wall of your hesitation. And every time you skip the work, every time you delay the task, every time you wait until you feel like it, you strengthen the cage around him. But every time you act, you chip away at the walls. Action is the chisel. Habit is the hammer. And soon, if you don't stop, if you don't pause, if you don't whine, you'll meet him. And when you do, everything changes. You'll walk differently. You'll speak differently. Because you'll no longer be pretending. You'll be aligned. And alignment breeds abundance. Let me tell you a secret the poor don't know. The world doesn't reward potential. It rewards execution. Walt Disney had ideas that scared bankers. They laughed, called him delusional. But he executed every single day, with or without applause. He pushed through bankruptcy, betrayal, mental breakdown. And still he moved. Still he built. Still he showed up. You think that's luck? That's what execution looks like when it's sacred. Because to men like Disney, Edison, Jobs, Hill, execution wasn't a task. It was an identity. You are not what you say you'll do. You are not what you believe. You are what you consistently do when it's time to act. And here's what they won't tell you in school. Success is not about motivation. It's about ritual. You don't wait to feel like working. You become the man who works whether he feels like it or not. Because the work doesn't care how you feel. The goal doesn't shrink because you're tired. The dream doesn't delay itself because you're overwhelmed. But the minute you move, even an inch, the universe opens up. Resources appear. Mentors show up. Energy multiplies. Why? Because motion is magnetic. Movement signals belief, and belief is what wealth respects. It's not the man with the best ideas who gets rich. It's the man who moves fast, learns faster, and never stops moving. You want unlimited wealth. Stop waiting for the right mood. Start creating the right momentum. One disciplined action per day. One call made. One idea launched. One problem solved. One connection built. One page written. Do that for 90 days without fail, and you won't recognize your life. This isn't theory. This is how kingdoms are born. Not overnight, not on accident, but one unbreakable day at a time. So wake up. Lock in, and execute like your legacy depends on it, because it does. That's habit 3. And when you master these 3, owning your morning, guarding your mind, and executing without compromise, you don't chase wealth. You become the kind of man wealth chases. Now listen carefully, because if you truly understood what you've just been given, you'd feel the shift already. You are no longer the man who waits. You are the man who moves. You are no longer asking the world to give you a reason. You are the reason. But still the world will test you. It will throw storms at your vision. Distractions in disguise, doubt wearing the mask of logic, fear speaking in the voice of people you love. You'll be told, slow down, be realistic, don't burn out. But understand, these voices, most of them don't come from malice. They come from people who surrendered too early. People who saw the mountain and turned around. People who called their comfort zone a life. And now, seeing you rise, it reminds them of what they refused to become. So expect resistance, expect solitude, but do not confuse loneliness with misdirection. Sometimes the path to wealth requires isolation, because clarity isn't found in the crowd, it's found in the quiet. It's in those moments when you're alone, when it's dark, when nothing seems to be working, that the fire is tested, not the fire on your good days. Anyone can act aligned when the bank account is full, the followers are cheering, the vision board is coming to life. But what about when everything stalls? What about when the results are delayed, the doubts are loud, and you're waking up early, guarding your mind, executing, and still no breakthrough? That's the test. Because the universe doesn't give rewards for enthusiasm. It gives rewards for endurance. You see, wealth is not a straight staircase. It's a climb through chaos, through confusion, through contradiction. Sometimes you do everything right, and the world still says, not yet. That's where most men quit. But not you. Because now you understand the delay is not the denial. It's the demand for a higher version of you. It's the universe asking, do you really want this? Or do you just want to feel good about saying you want it? Do you want to be rich? Or do you want to look rich? Do you want legacy? Or just applause? Do you want freedom? Or do you want ease? Because these things, they are not the same. And wealth only comes to those who choose the painful over the pretty. Lincoln didn't lead through peace. He led through war. Ford didn't invent from calm. He invented through crisis. Hill didn't write Think and Grow Rich from luxury. He wrote it while his own life teetered between greatness and ruin. They all understood the same truth. Wealth is forged in the fire, not on your best day, on your worst, when no one believes, when the path is unclear, when the silence is deafening and still, you rise. That's the moment that builds kings. And you were born for that moment. So let the storms come, let the doubters laugh, let the world question your sanity. Because the man who is building something eternal is never understood by those chasing what is temporary. You are no longer chasing wealth. You are becoming it. In your routine, in your mindset, in your decisions, in every silent act of discipline when no one's watching. That's where the money is made, not in hype, in habit, not in noise, in narrow focus. And when you live this way long enough, consistently enough, ruthlessly enough, wealth becomes inevitable, not because of a secret, but because you've become the man who can no longer live any other way. You've changed your default. You've reset your baseline. And now, the version of you that once begged for scraps can no longer exist in the presence of this new identity. This isn't a transformation. This is a rebirth. And now, something deeper stirs within you. Not hype. not motivation. Certainty, a calm, unwavering fire that whispers, "This is who I was always meant to be." Because true wealth, unlimited wealth, isn't measured in commas or digits. It's measured in alignment. When your actions match your purpose, when your habits match your vision, when your soul no longer tolerates contradiction. Most men think wealth begins in the marketplace, but it doesn't. It begins in your character, your reputation with yourself, the promises you keep when no one is around, the mornings you rise when your body screams no, the focus you sustain when your environment begs you to scatter. You think the billionaires of this world became who they are because of luck. No, they became that way because they developed a pattern of internal certainty, a pattern that no external crisis could touch. Because once your inner world is fortified, once you build those 3 habits like armor, you become untouchable. Let the market crash. Let the economy wobble. Let algorithms change and industries evolve. It doesn't matter, because a man who owns his morning, commands his mind, and executes with discipline can never be poor. Even if he loses everything, he rebuilds. Why? Because wealth is no longer something he chases. It is who he is. This is why you must never confuse your bank balance with your value. Never confuse your current reality with your future potential. And never confuse temporary struggle with permanent identity. You are being shaped. Every day you obey these 3 habits, the old version of you dies a little more, and the wealthy version rises, stronger, louder, bolder. Do not slow down now. Do not wait for the evidence. Be the evidence. You want people to respect your vision? Don't talk about it. Live it. Let them watch you become undeniable. Let them see the change in your posture, your tone, your energy. You don't need to explain yourself when results start to speak. They'll notice when your phone isn't available for gossip anymore. They'll notice when your schedule doesn't include wasting time. They'll notice when your words carry weight because they're backed by consistency. And when they ask, "What changed?" you'll smile, and you won't need to say much because everything changed. You stopped waiting. You stopped asking. You stopped making room for weakness. You stopped entertaining the voice of the average. You replaced your excuses with standards, your comfort with clarity, your moods with mission. And from that moment, wealth had no choice but to arrive, because you weren't just thinking rich. You were acting rich, living rich, being rich in your habits, in your mindset, in your decisions. And the universe does not ignore a man who moves with that kind of energy. It aligns. Opportunities begin to appear. Doors open that were never visible before. Why? Because now you can see them. You've elevated your perception. Your internal frequency has shifted. What once looked like a problem now looks like a project. What once seemed overwhelming now feels inevitable. And the people still living in fear, they'll say you're lucky. But you'll know better. You'll know that luck is what shows up when habit collides with time, when focus collides with faith, when a man becomes so consistent that success has no choice but to yield. And now that man is you. Now breathe. Because you're standing at a threshold now. One foot in the world that shaped you, and the other in the world you were born to shape. This moment, right now, is your line in the sand. The day average dies. The day delay dies. The day the man who talked about wealth is replaced by the man who creates it. Look around you. The world is starving for men like you. Men who rise with purpose. Men who speak with vision. Men who work when no one's watching. Not for applause, but for alignment. You think that's common? It's rare. You think everyone's doing this. They're not. They're scrolling. They're sleeping. They're waiting for a feeling. But you're not interested in waiting anymore. You're interested in building. Because you finally understand the prize isn't wealth. The prize is who you must become to earn it. And you're becoming that man, one morning, one thought, one execution at a time. And yes, you'll be doubted. You'll be misunderstood. You'll lose people who once knew you because they'll no longer recognize this version of you. Let them go. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be legendary, to create such undeniable success that even your enemies are forced to respect your evolution. And if you ever doubt your path, if the weight feels heavy, if the days feel long, remember this: you are 3 habits away. That's it. Own your morning like a warrior preparing for battle. Guard your mind like a vault holding sacred treasure. Execute like the world depends on your movement, because it does. And when these habits are no longer habits, but instincts, When they are burned into your identity, automatic and unstoppable, you will look back at this version of you with gratitude, because this was the version that chose, the version that refused to accept small, the version that decided, it ends with me, generational poverty ends here. Excuses, buried, fear, silenced, confusion, replaced by clarity so sharp it cuts through distraction like a blade. And from this place of power you will rise, not slowly, not eventually, inevitably, because you've built the foundation most will never see. The kind that can't be shown on social media, the kind that doesn't sparkle, doesn't entertain, but lasts. Discipline, belief, consistency. You didn't buy wealth, you didn't borrow it, you became it. It lives in your hands now, in your calendar, in your habits, in your silence, in the way you move through your day like a man on a mission from something greater. Because you're not just building a life, you're building a legacy, and that legacy will speak long after your voice goes silent. So rise now. No more waiting, no more hoping, no more settling. The door is open, the path is carved, and the man you were born to become is waiting. 3 habits, that's all. Now go meet him. So now we close this chapter not with silence, not with doubt, but with a fire that will never go out. Because deep down, you've already made the decision. You didn't come here to be inspired. You came here to be ignited, and you have been. The man who walked in with questions is not the man who stands here now, because something ancient has been awakened, a forgotten voice inside you, once small, once buried beneath fear and failure, now rises with thunder in its throat, screaming, I was built for this, not by accident. Not by privilege, by intention. By design, you weren't meant for a life of quiet desperation. You weren't built to merely exist, to pay bills, to drown in distractions, to die with your best ideas still inside you. You were born to dominate, to create, to multiply, to leave a mark so permanent, history has to adjust itself around your name. But none of that will come through wishing, none of it through waiting. All of it, every ounce, will be forged in the fire of habit. So remember this, you don't need a new opportunity. You don't need another course or a lucky break or someone to validate your dream. You need a clock, a mirror, and the decision to never betray yourself again. Look at the clock, it's ticking. Every second, you are either building your legacy or postponing it. Look in the mirror, he's watching. That future version of you, draped in success, standing in full power, he's waiting to be built by the man you are now. Don't keep him waiting. The truth is, no one's coming to save you. No one's handing you freedom. No one's writing you a check for your potential. The universe only writes checks for those who cash in their excuses and deposit daily discipline. You have the tools. You have the blueprint. 3 habits. That's the price. And now you know it's worth paying. So when the alarm rings tomorrow, rise. When your thoughts wander, redirect. When fear speaks, answer with action. You were not put here to crawl. You were born to build. You were born to walk into every room and shift the atmosphere, not because of ego, but because of energy. The energy of a man who knows who he is. A man with clarity, with conviction, with command. And when that kind of man walks into a room, wealth follows. Opportunities follow. Respect follows. Because the world bows to the one who no longer bows to his own weakness. So go. Let the world talk. Let the odds stack. Let the doubts come. You've made your decision. And when a man decides, truly decides, his future begins rearranging itself in his favor. You're not hoping anymore, you're becoming. And wealth? It's not a destination, it's a side effect, a reflection, a consequence of who you now are. Own it, live it, be it, loudly, fearlessly, relentlessly, because you are only 3 habits away. And now, there's nothing in this world that can stop you.